What's up, pretty gang? It's your favorite nail tech Peaches, back with another video, and today I'm going to show you how to work with unusually shaped toenails. We're going to be doing some acrylic toes. This is the final result. Of course, y'all already know to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss out. It's holiday season, so I'm going to have a lot of content for you guys. So this end result looks really, really good. I do want to put a disclaimer. This client has been with me for a couple of years. I just soaked her off. She had a fill or two previously, and now it's time to get these into shape. Now, when this client had first come to me, her toenails were extremely short. She does have the tendency to have toenails that grow in a pinched and really like curved manner. So for instance, the top of her toenails, when the shorter they are, the more curved that they appear. So it took a while, but we keep them on the longer side so that way we can counteract that. Now, when you're working with toenails that are not like a straightforward, I can clip them or file them and they will be perfectly straight, it can be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks on how to handle that. This client also has toenails that grow in different directions, so I have to counteract that, as well as toenails that kind of wrap around rather than being completely flat. So the middle two toenails are really the ones that give the most trouble, I guess you can say. And I want to let you guys know that although this looks out of control and like really, really long, again, this is probably about 8 weeks worth of growth. So it is time to reset my client. Now, another reason why we keep her a little bit longer is because the shorter her toenails are, right, and the more she tries to get fills, it's hard to get in her cuticle area, because with the acrylic adding like an extra layer of height on the nail, it makes it really hard to get into that cuticle area and seal them really well. So I'm going to prep as normal. I'm going to shorten them now. Most of the time I may shorten them after acrylic, but if somebody needs to be shortened like a lot, I go ahead and do that now. She does still have like a little tiny bit of acrylic on the tip of this toenail, which I'm not really tripping about, but that's why I'm able to file kind of vigorously back and forth. If there was no acrylic on this toenail, or a little bit left over on any of them, then I would not be going back and forth like that. I would be like picking up the file and going one direction or the other direction. Okay, just so you know, because it's natural toenails. Yeah, so because she has toenails that are shaping in different directions, they grow all differently, I need to look from her perspective. Okay, so this is what we're doing. So as you guys can see, I did shorten them, but you can see from the other angle, the big toenail looked very crisp, very straight, but when I look from this way, it's not giving. So really what I need to do for clients like this is I need to pretty much face down, ass up. I have to apologize to my clients in advance because I be tooted up during this process. Okay, booty all in the face, but we got to get the job done. Okay, so I pick up each toenail and I look and think, which way do I need to file, so that way I can counteract. Y'all, I apologize for the noise in the background. I look to see which way do I need to file to counteract what's going on currently. So this middle toenail right here, it typically goes to the side. So it seems odd that I have to pretty much file down one side a lot and leave the other side longer. However, once everything is said and done, when her feet are pressed down in a shoe, when her feet are relaxed, everything looks fine. So that's another thing you have to think about. You need to think about what positions do the toes go in, and how the toenails look from many, many different angles. When the foot is relaxed, when the toenails are kind of dangling, when they're walking, from their perspective, from your perspective, and it can be a lot. So at this point, once you kind of feel like, okay, I'm getting a good base for the shape to lay the actual acrylic, at a certain point you do need to stop, because remember, we need to leave room for the actual acrylic itself. So you guys can see I'm pushing down on the toenails because that will mimic what her foot will look like when it's pressed down when she's walking or in a shoe and things like that. So these are things that you need to keep in mind, because we don't want to overfile and we don't want her toenails to be too short. This is the color we're going to use, is Flamingo Pink by Young Nails, and then of course I am using Young Nails liquid as well. Now for this particular part of application, it's pretty straightforward. You're really just going to lay the acrylic on top of the nails. She already has a good amount of length, so we are not laying acrylic to add any type of length at all, which is why you see me not adding a lot. This is literally just an overlay, just a covering. So you don't want to add too much acrylic either. And for people whose toenails do grow up, because also her toenails do grow curved up, I forgot to mention. So they grow different angles, they grow curved up, and the tips tend to want to like be very, very like moon shaped. Okay, you don't want to add too much acrylic because over time, as they grow out, then the nails are going to be way too heavy to support that. So you need to maintain that particular balance. So when it's time for the littler toes, like I said, some of these kind of wrap around itself. So I have to lay the acrylic down. I need to like let it set for a second. And then I go in with my brush, and you can see how like I'm patting the acrylic all around the nail. It's because that one kind of curves around. So basically there's parts of nail that you can't see, and you need to lay the acrylic on all the parts. It doesn't matter if it looks a little funky, you have to, because otherwise you don't have a correctly balanced enhancement. You are not supposed to have any part of the natural nail showing at all. The same way that you would not have anything showing on your hands has to be the exact same for your feet. Now, during this process, it can be a little bit tricky and difficult if you're a beginner. I do not recommend any of this stuff. If you do not have any knowledge about nails or toes or doing any of these services in general, I will be honest, this advice may not even help you. This advice is really for somebody who does have a good grasp on what they're doing and understands exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're like a super duper beginner, this advice may not help you all the way. So I do apologize. I should have probably stated that in the beginning. So I'm sorry. So while we're shaping and filing the cuticles and stuff, I tend to use my e-file on, to help me with shaping for those who have, I guess you can say, like unusually shaped nails. And the reason for this is because sometimes you can be doing so much filing and need stuff at just a particular angle that it does help to use your e-file. So of course I'm filing the cuticles as normal. This part does not change. The only part that this can cause problems with is, again, if the toenails are too short, because if they're too short, then you will be over filing certain parts and not able to get into the cuticle area, possibly, depending on how the toenails are shaped. So essentially you want to get to a place where you're helping your clients grow the toenails. And actually, fun fact, people think the shorter your toenails the better, but that is actually not true. You should not be cutting your toenails all the way down to the skin, only because if you're having problems with like ingrowns or compacted toenails, or your toenails grows over and pinched, it's going to like exacerbate that. Okay, so I'm back over facing her perspective, and I'm using my e-file to help straighten out anything that needs to be straightened out. And the reason that this is, once again, is because although things look great from one angle, I need to be double checking from the other side. So you can see from my perspective of like where I was sitting, like the perspective that you're watching from, things look like they're going great. But I need to double check from the opposite side so that way I know my client will be happy. Now, this just takes a lot of patience, and you need to work slow and be careful while trying out these techniques, because you can actually file too much away, and that's just way more work to make the other toenails catch up and stuff like that. You guys, hold on. I actually need to plug in my computer. It is going to die. Let me get myself up. So, okay, we're going to walk and talk. So after I do that, I always go back in with my hand file as needed, just because you never know what else needs to be done until you go back and look. And also, using the e-file sometimes can cause little hiccups that need to be fixed with the hand file. So this is why we're using both. Basically, we're going back and forth until we feel like we can have the best result that we can achieve. Keep in mind, there is not going to be a quote-unquote perfect result, and this takes a lot of time to achieve. This takes a lot of patience and maintenance on your client's end, because if your client is not going to maintain this and they're not getting their soak-offs, they're not doing the things they need to do, these type of results are not going to last, and they're going to be very disappointed as to feeling like, oh, why do my toenails not grow? Why does this not happen? Why does that not happen? And you're going to have to explain to them, this is a process. When my client first came in, and you may be able to find pictures, videos of her on my YouTube page, but when this client first came in and I did see her toenails and how they were growing, I did let her know from her first appointment, I'm going to be honest, I can get you a really good result, but you just need to work with me, and it's going to take a little bit of time. And it's crazy because now we're here, over a year later, and she drives like 2.5 hours to be every appointment, every other month, and it's crazy the results that we have. So it really just takes a little bit of understanding and tedious work, so that way you can counteract some of the issues they may be seeing. Okay. And then of course, when you do your soak offs, it's like the toenails are maintaining in that shape that you're filing them. So it's like a win-win. Even if she would take these off, she would still have a really nice result that we can work with. Okay. Now, if you're struggling with the concept of, okay, if the toenail is swinging this way, then I need to file over here to counteract and make it straight. And is it straight? Then I definitely suggest that you may just need to practice. I understand some people are more prone to understanding like geometrical concepts and symmetry and things like that. So that might be something that you would want to practice with, like activities that can help you spot symmetry and asymmetry, so that way you can work on exactly what you need to do to help fix those issues. And unfortunately, it is something that is a skill. Okay, so now that we're pretty much done, I did want to just include this clip of me doing the design. She typically always does French tips, but she wasn't sure if she wanted French tip. We already chose a different background color than she normally kind of chooses. And although this set is still very plain, it was still very out of her comfort zone. So I was like, you know what, let me hook you up. Let me give you a little something that feels like French tip, but not. Because she wanted to do solid color, but she was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about solid color. Okay. Also heads up, I do have a video on my method of doing French tips and the fact that it takes like less than 5 minutes per foot to do. Also, don't wipe acetone on your skin like I did. I shouldn't have did that, but hey, I did. So even with design, you're gonna have to go with the toenails. Okay, even with French tips and everything. Toenails that grow like hers, I mean, I like to do a thicker French tip in general, but it's best to do a thicker French tip that does not have like a skinny high arch, okay? Because it's going to draw attention to any asymmetry possibly. And then doing this little design around, like that frames around the toenail, because she has that toenail on the sides that kind of wraps around, I actually refrained from polishing that part, because I didn't show it, but when I did polish it, it kind of threw off the design and made it look bulkier, and I didn't really quite care for it. So on the sides, which you can't see, like right next to the brush, there is extra area of toenail or acrylic, whatever you want to call it, based on how her toenails grow. So you kind of have to look at things like that, like what is just going to give this person the best results so they can be happy and be confident. Look, if you're a person looking for someone to do acrylic toes, I always suggest please go to somebody who is not only licensed and can understand what type of toenails that they're working with, but somebody who you can tell has a lot of care in their work, who follows the proper procedures, and who is actually educating you. Because overall, you want someone that's going to maintain your toenail health, because although this is enhancements, we have to take care of what's underneath. Okay, I just have to throw that little tidbit in, because I understand it's hard to find somebody who can produce the kind of work you're looking for and also maintain your health and safety. Okay, but other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have some other videos coming. Hopefully I'll be able to upload every day or every other day long length YouTube videos. You guys can follow me on my Instagram page, Nailsbyprettyface, for more nail content, and my other Instagram page, prettyface_peaches, for more fun content, as well as my other YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe, like, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.